What's up, family?
Hey, fam, hey.
And welcome back to Two Families,
One House.
And today's episode is on friendship. So, last episode we talked a lot about, what did we talk about?
Just recapping our beginnings, why we chose to move in a house together. And,
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So, on this episode, sharing about friendships and because a lot of times people think that in community living, it means that you agree on everything.
Yes.
And that's not true. That's not true. So we're busting myths and we're sharing tips for community living, friendships, and all of the above.
Yes.
Maybe a classic like introvert out.
Extrovert.
Extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because I don't even really look into all of that. Like that. I don't really get into all of that. But I would say, based on things that I've heard from what I gathered, then she would be the extrovert, I would be the introvert.
Really?
No, I'm just playing.
It is totally the other way around. In certain atmospheres.
Right.
I would say that.
Oh, yeah.
There are... I tend to be more of the quiet person. When it's more intimate and like a handful of people, I'm typically pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the outgoing, hey girl, kind of person. But if we're out in a large crowd of people, she's actually the quiet one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually the extrovert.
She was like, yeah, in the crowd. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'll be over here. I'll be over here. Because, yeah, I think, again, we can get into differences of that. But for me, like, intimate conversations, one conversation at a time is what I can handle. And that does tend to draw people in because we've talked about many times that we forget that not everybody really has a close friend that they can, like, talk to, really feel like they can share a lot of things with. And so in bigger crowds, it's like too many conversations happening at one time and I can't keep up.
Yeah.
I can't keep up. So so those are, I would say those are the things. And when it came to like us moving into the house, well, one, we started out living in close proximity to each other. So we didn't just like, oh, we're best friends and now we're moving in together. Like, again, we have old episodes of our podcast that you can go back and listen to on any platform where we describe like, what type of things you should be looking for in a friendship, even whether you're looking to move in with them or not. But so that was us, really setting that foundation and kind of understanding, like, is this somebody that I can do life with? Yes. Can I share things with them and I don't hear it?
That part. Yeah. So, in our beginnings, we connected through homeschooling. That was how Keena and I actually came together. I had been homeschooling for a couple of years, so I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was willing to share whatever she wanted to know.
Like, tell me.
And so I would say we had our first meeting with the husbands included. We were talking about homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And that's when all four of us literally came together, which, now that I think about it, that's how we got our whole coming together thing happening. Like, we've always been a come to the table.
Right, yes. Yes, and everybody did come. And that is rare, because sometimes we be like,
yeah, I won't do that.
Yeah.
And as women, like, we can make the connection first, and then we'd be like, bring our husbands along for the ride.
Yeah.
And, that don't always pan out well.
Right.
But for us, it did.
Yeah. And the opposite, too, because he'd be like, oh, yeah, I want you to meet his wife. And then you'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd be like, ooh, baby, we did not.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was it, because, we had been around, other people and couples that, did a lot of arguing or different things like that. And again, like, I don't look at them like, oh my God, I can't believe they're arguing. It just wasn't like conducive for a closer relationship. Because say if we wanted to do something special for our husbands, and you'd be like, "Oh, I can't stand him right now." That is your right.
Yes.
But now we can't do something special for our husbands because you're like, well, I ain't doing nothing special for him.
Yeah.
And because we were both like anchored on the fact that our families and God came first, and we were fighting spiritual battles and, you know, natural realm for our families and our husbands, and divorce was not an option. So if she was upset with her husband, and I'd be like, come on, girl, we doing something special for our husband, she wasn't gonna be like, well, I ain't doing nothing special for him. And I'd be like, I ain't doing nothing.
Right. And we would come together, and I'd be like, no, because remember, this was our anchor. We love our husbands.
Right.
And we understand that none of us are perfect. Right. So we each gonna do something that's gonna get on the other person's nerve, but at the end of the day, we still love our people.
Yes.
And so,
so to the point of that though, like sometimes I think, because people will say, well, you got to do it for yourself, or you do it. Like, I am the person that will tell you, there was times where she'd be like, come on, we're going to do something special. And I was doing it more because I was being accountable to her than it was me actually feeling like, oh, yeah, okay, now I'm on board. Like, sometimes those feelings will still be there where I'm like, no, I don't want to do this because, you know, maybe he hurt my feelings or whatever it was. But because, like, she was like, all right, but yes, and come on. And so I'd be like, okay, I'm doing it because you're doing it. But so I think, you know, that's something that for us it has worked because, you know, again, you want people that can speak life into your marriage and not pull it apart. And even just because people are married. Yeah. Right. And just because people are married don't mean that they won't pull it apart. Like they can have a marriage that they're envious of your marriage, and then they like pull yours apart by saying, girl, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Yes. He didn't do nothing special for you last time, so I wouldn't do nothing special for him. You remember the last time he did? Whatever.
No, seriously. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that actually kind of like solidified our friendship was we took a trip together, a vacation. They were avid vacationers, and AJ and I knew nothing about vacationing because we were, at the time, we had very small children. I had 5, you had 4, but they had mastered being able to get away as a couple, and AJ and I was like, tell us more about this.
Right.
And so cruising was our vacation of choice, and we went on our first cruise with them. And we loved it. Yes. And we loved them. Like, after it was all said and done, like, both AJ and I were like, oh my gosh, God, I think you finally sent us, like, our true friends, people that we can really connect with. And it wasn't any perversion in that, right? Like, so we went away as couples, and we came back as couples. Like, you know. Separate couples. And so, like, I felt like they understood what we were looking for, and we understood what they were looking for, right? So we definitely wanted to hang out with another couple that had God as their anchor, and that loved each other. They wasn't looking over the fence at nobody else's. They loved each other. And they loved their children. Like, they were going hard for their children. That was huge. And we went on vacation with them, and that just, like, blew it out the water for us. Like, we were like, yo, we can actually kick it with them. Like, and they're cool, and they want to go be a couple, so we get to go away and be a couple.
Be a couple. Yeah, I think it's important, too, because, so, in our, you know, intro and extra, like, so Jaquise, when we became friends and started getting closer, like, I was like, let's get outside, you know, and I'm still like, let's get outside and do all the stuff. Yes. And, you know, in our last video, we were talking about, like, you know, stay-at-home mom versus, like, becoming a stay-at-home mom. Like, she prayed about wanting to do that.
Right.
So I feel like she was more solid in her, like, stillness. And I was still learning, like, how do I sit down?
Yeah.
How do I sit down? I don't know. And so part of my husband and I moving to this new city where we, we're meeting, I was like, we gotta at least, that, and because he wanted a big family. So again, I talked about that last time. Like, I was like, not kids. I'm trying to see the world. And so we compromised, and he was like, I want 5 kids. We did not have 5. We have 4. But
that was close.
It was close. It was close enough. So I was like, listen, we have to go on vacation at least once a year because, like, I wanted to stay in relationship with him. Like, I married you, like, and I wanted to, give myself time to just be, like, myself.
Yes.
And so by the time, we had come along, we had gone on a couple vacations, and it was like, all right, like, cruising, you can. So, when we all just hung out, it was fun because, again, it was just that freedom of, like, I could be myself. And because we are Christian we're representatives of Christ, like, there's just a difference, like, if you're a Christian, you got your friends, you got your faith friends, you got church friends, you got, whatever. But we can be all of that. Like, and we would be good and funny and whatever. And it wasn't, like you said, it didn't get perverted or derogatory or anything. It was just like, I could be myself without, being like, guarded, I guess. So it took a lot of hard work after that. It wasn't all sunshine, rain, what is it?
Sunshine and rainbows. Yes.
And lollipops. But, like, in the foundation of it, like, I think that's what brought us closer is, one, knowing that, again, we loved our husband, we loved God, we loved our children.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like we just naturally continued to get closer. So watching the podcast, the different things, and like she was saying, like, without the perversion, it was just like we get closer and closer. And people were talking about, like, in true life right now, like Megan Ashley and Jackie Hill Perry, and like being like, Jackie Hill must be gay again or whatever. And it's like, tell me you ain't never had a best friend without telling me you ain't had a best friend, because baby, y'all, like, I'm so over people just seeing, like, people get close and understanding that you don't have to have anything sexual,
right?
To have
it's
like this, like,
have to be perverted.
It don't.
Especially like, because we say this a lot. Like Keita explained earlier, she was kind of one friend focused, and I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. And so the thing that kind of brought us together was that, yes, we had our anchors that connected us, but also that we were different.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that about her without sounding perverted. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is not perverted. I genuinely like her as a person.
Right.
And I feel the same way for Jackie Hill. Like, that's ridiculous, y'all. Like, everything doesn't have to be perverted. There are some really good, holy, just good relationships.
Right. And what's understood doesn't have to be explained in the sense.
Apparently it does, though, because everybody is, making comments that are just, one, can be very hurtful. I don't think people understand that. Like, that can be very hurtful. That's about right. But I can just remember, like, hearing side remarks about us even coming together and moving in together, like, and they would do it in a jokey, so you knew it was shade way, like, oh, y'all must be all sleeping together. First of all, that's nasty.
Right.
And no, we don't flow that way.
Right.
And we because God is our firm foundation. And this is not a diss or a disrespect to anybody else. But as for us, we had the clear understanding of what our relationship was. And that was a sisterhood. That was a best friend. I'm cheering for her and her marriage and her children. She's cheering for me and my marriage and my children. And that was just one thing we just don't play around with, jokingly or otherwise.
Right.
I think somebody had made a comment like, oh, y'all like sister wives up in there. No.
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't play like that. That's not funny. I'm not laughing. That's not funny. And I mean, we can laugh about it now.
Right, I was gonna say, I'm over here laughing. Like,
we can laugh about it now, but when it was said, and again, they said it as in jokingly, and I understood that they didn't understand what God had called us to.
Mm-hmm.
But I am the one that's gonna correct that comment. So you can laugh and tee hee and whatever, but I am going to be the one that's gonna connect to make sure that you do understand that. No, we don't play that.
No. But and so I am the one that's like, okay, so I don't know if I said this in this one. Like when I'm getting to know people, I'm drawing a picture of a place of what they're thinking, and so in my mind, I'm thinking I could see how people are drawn to polygamy or sister wife hoodship, but what I don't understand is the sharing of the spouse. Like I just feel like that's unnecessary because, like, we have two spouse. Like I have a spouse and she has a spouse, but we still get the community thing. So I understand the community part, and I know there's people out there who have conversation, especially now, about polygamy and whether they feel like it's, whatever. Mm-hmm. So the community living part, I will say we definitely have benefited from community living, but don't be so stupid to think that I'll just say it like that. To think that the only way that you can enjoy community living is to be a polygamist. Yeah. Let's just flat out like that. Like that's just not. And so really our journey shares that too. Like to confirm to people who are Christian or, that you don't have to, the only way that you can enjoy a conversation, living in a house with somebody is if you sleeping with them. Yeah. Like we just not even. No. We're not entertaining that. No. So, so those are the things that we've endured, with, people thinking that, or, if they're thinking like, oh, y'all in the same house, you must tell her everything, or you must, I text her because I thought y'all was sitting right next to each other. One time somebody said, well, what does one person do when the other person's spouse is leaving? Y'all just stare at each other? Right. Y'all just sit in each other's faces like, what are they doing? Yeah, they just. What do you do when you sit at home? Like what? What do you do? What? Sitting in each other's faces. No, we don't just sit in each other's faces. What if you really want to know? If you really want to know the truth, we're not necessarily sitting in each other's faces, but I mean, we live in a community home. So if Ramon is sitting in the front room and I want to watch TV, guess where I'm sitting? In the front room. Yeah. But and this is still true to today. Yeah. We sit like on the totally opposite side of the room. Like Ramon would sit in the chair, I'll sit on the couch, or Ramon would sit on the couch and I'll sit in the chair. It's just how we move. It doesn't. I don't feel like, oh, this is awkward. Let me sit here. No, we just naturally be like, whatever. Yes, I'm gonna sit here. That's just how we move. I mean, it's the same thing for like when AJ and Nikita, they can be in the kitchen talking. They talking, y'all. Like, right. I know we have had awkward moments where people have come over and me and AJ be in the kitchen just chatting away. And we have to remember, like, okay, this is not a normal setting. Yeah. And even though we have made the adjustment to settle into it, everybody else hasn't. And we forget that a lot of times when we're just going about our day or whatever, and we have company and we have guests. Like it's been mentioned to us, like, wow, y'all really move like this, huh? Yeah. And it don't feel uncomfortable. Right. Right. We've had a lot of guests and they come and kick it. Right. But they feel at home. Yeah. Like it doesn't feel like, and it doesn't matter which side of the family. Like people from our family have come and have just kicked it and just fallen into place. And same thing for her family. Whenever they come, they just kicking it. Like, right. That's what's up. Right.